Very serious this morning. The raging debate over how to respond to this pandemic as it spirals out of control. More than 250,000 people in this country have now had their lives cut short due to the coronavirus. More than 19,000 people have died in this month alone. Think about that for just a second. And the daily cases are now up 80% in just the last 2 weeks.
Our team is covering the crisis from multiple angles, including the toll on hospitals and breaking news about another possible vaccine. But first, our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, is in New York, where the nation's largest public school system is going remote again starting this morning. David, good morning to you. What led Mayor Bill de Blasio to make this call?
Well, look, he said if we hit 3% test positivity rate in the community, I'm going to shut down the schools. But a lot of parents and even some health experts are saying, wait a minute, Mr. Mayor, you're shutting down the schools, but you haven't closed the bars and the restaurants? What kind of sense does that make? The mayor's 3% threshold is reportedly the most conservative threshold in the country. And in fact, the school system, you know what their test positivity rate is? 0.19%.
I know.
It was the announcement a lot of parents were dreading. New York City closing schools and going to remote learning 100%.
We're sending home all the textbooks and the backpack. So I guess we're ready, but we're not really ready.
It's ridiculous that restaurants and gyms are still open and schools are closed.
It's really disappointing for parents who are constantly scrambling.
Some of the kids are just as frustrated.
How long are we going to not be able to go in school?
They haven't told us. You're going to be at home again.
New York City's Mayor Bill de Blasio called the closure a setback, but said the city and state officials are working on a framework to restart in-person learning as soon as possible.
We're going to be deploying a lot of our testing capacity towards the schools under this new model.
New York City is not alone. In-person classes have recently been suspended in all or parts of Michigan, South Dakota, Georgia, Indiana, and New Mexico. Suspensions are planned in Philadelphia and a large Kansas district, while plans to reopen schools have been delayed in Las Vegas and Chicago. Here in New York City, rates of transmission inside schools have remained very low since schools reopened 8 weeks ago. But the rate of spread outside of the classroom is an important part of school safety, according to American Federation of Teachers President Randy Weingarten.
New York City should be credited for doing what no other major school system did, which is to reopen in-school instruction for kids in a safe way. But having community spread the way it's now going all across the country, schools are not impervious to that.
You know, CBS News has learned that the White House Coronavirus Task Force is not calling for schools to close. They're not calling for that because they say the data doesn't suggest that the virus is being a big spreader and spreading in schools. However, you know what they all are calling for? Closing of indoor dining and bars, Anthony.
Yeah. All right, David, thank you very much. In our next hour, we will talk with New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, first here on CBS This Morning.